Hi everyone, Sandy here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and to the 2021 Country Craft Creations Homemade for Christmas YouTube Hop. This is my project that I made for the Hop, and I use Country Craft Creations exclusive paper collection. It is a calendar collection, and it will be available soon in the store, and it is called Remember the Time. So I had to double check, make sure I had the right name. Remember the Time. It's a 12-month collection. You'll get lots of papers to work with, and I made this whole thing, and I still didn't use the entire collection for this, but it turned out really cute. I love that it is a Memory Decks calendar, and each divider is a calendar month with a magnetic decorative piece that does come off so that you can actually use your calendar. So I made the larger calendar dividers, and then I went in and made the shorter companion cards where you could take notes or write birth dates or whatever you wanted to on that. So that is January. I will have pictures showing you what each one looks like because you'll want to decorate yours in different ways. I show you how to make the box in this tutorial and how to do the cards. Now, in this hop, there are prizes from Country Craft Creation. It's real important that you watch all 12 videos that are in this hop and make a comment to each one. The prizes are for USA residents only. We're sorry, but the shipping is just too high anywhere else. So we do apologize for that, but it's for USA only. And the prizes are phenomenal. There's 7 prizes that will be given away. Details are in my description below, as well as the rules for the hop and the prize giveaway. Like I said, you do need to comment on each video after you watch it. And these prizes are sponsored by Country Craft Creations and given by Country Craft Creations. That said, I have a couple of prizes that I'm giving personally to just those of you who comment on my video. And these are bonus gifts from me. They're not associated with Country Craft Creations as far as the hop goes, but because it's a hop, I did want to give a little extra bonus gift. So for you to qualify for that one, you do have to comment, but you have to answer a question or give a phrase. And there'll be 2 places in my video where I tell you how to do that. So you do have to watch so that you know what to say in your comments so that I will know to qualify you. And again, my prizes are only for USA residents only. So let's go ahead and get started with this project. And thanks so much for joining us for this hop. To create our Memory Decks box for our calendar Memory Decks, we need 1.5 sheets of 12 by 12 heavyweight chipboard, or 1 12 by 12 and at least 1 8.5 by 11. So whatever you have, or if you have scraps that are big enough to cut the inside support pieces that we're going to need. So I'll give you the measurements of that, and you're also going to need, for the box, 3 sheets of the 12 by 12 artisan cardstock, and I am using the black. So for our chipboard, we need 1 piece that is 5 1/4 by 6. That is the bottom of our box. We need 2 3 by 6 for the sides, and 2 3 by 5 1/4 for the ends. Now these will be in a cutting list in the description below of my video. Just click on the link. It will take you to my Google Docs, and you can print up the file, the document, so that you can follow along with that. Just know that sometimes there can be a typo error on a cutting list, so I suggest that you read it along with watching the video. Okay, so then we're also going to need for the inside, and this is where you need to cut this out of some chipboard you've had left from another project, or if you have an 8.5 by 11, or a half a sheet of the another 6 by half a sheet, which would be 6 inch by 12 inch piece. But you're going to need 2 that are 2 3/4 by 5 7/8, and 2 that are 2 3/4 by 6. So you actually need that 12 inch length there. So these we're going to set aside. These will be wrapped in pattern paper, so we're going to set those aside. We don't need them to make the box. For your cardstock, you need one piece that is 7 1/4 by 8, two pieces that are 5 by 8, and two pieces that are 5 by 7 1/4. Okay, to put these together, first we're going to wrap in a method that's similar to wrapping for the album covers, except we're going to wrap and assemble in a certain way to make our box. So you need your scoreboard mat. If you have the spacers, you need just the 1-inch ones for this project. These are from Country Craft Creations. You can order them as a set. You get two 1-inch wide by 12 and one that is 1 1/2 by 12. If you don't have these, then you can cut 1-inch wide chipboard pieces in the 12-inch length to work with. You're going to need your ruler, a bone folder, scissors, art bitter glue, and in the assembly, I like to use some score tape. So I have a 1/4 inch. So first let's wrap the bottom piece. So we have our 5 1/4 by 6. We're going to put this piece, which is our 7 1/4 by 8. And we put that on the, push that all the way up to the top and the side, put our spacers on. Now I use glue for this part. If you want to use score tape or you want to use score tape sheets, you can do that. You're going to place this like this, so that you have a 1-inch on the right and bottom. So take my glue, and I'm just going to put glue all along the back here. Place this down. Make sure you butt it up right against those spacers. Go ahead and move those out of the way. Burnish this down. Turn it over and burnish. Smooth out any ripples in the glue. If you're using score tape or score tape sheets, you also want to burnish so that it sticks down really good. Then we're going to set this aside to dry. Then we'll take one of these pieces, which is the 5 by 8. You take one of your 3 by 6, and we do the spacers the same again. So we have only we have 1 inch all the way around. Glue on one side only of your chipboard. Attach this down. Burnish. So you see you have a 1 inch all the way around, a 1-inch margin. Flip it over and burnish. Set aside to dry and repeat with the other side, other piece. And these are your side pieces. Burnish. And now for the two end pieces. So you need your cardstock. That is 5 by 7 1/4. Chipboard piece that's 3 by 5 1/4. Flip it over and burnish. And the last one. This is a memory Dex box that will not have a lid. It's just like a box tray for the cards so that you can see them sticking up and all the decorating that I'm going to add to it, or that you will choose to add to yours. So burnish. And the other side. Okay, so we'll let those dry for a little bit and then we'll start putting them together. So the first thing we're going to do on all these pieces is fold them up on all 4 sides. Get our crease line there along the edge of the chipboard. And take my bone folder and I really burnish it so that I see the fold line in all directions, because you're going to be cutting some of that out. So you want to make sure that you're getting that folded and burnished really well. Folded and burnished really well. Okay, there we go. So go ahead, I'm going to speed this up. And you're going to do that on all of these pieces. You've got the two ends, the two sides, and the bottom. Okay, so we have those done. Next, we're going to cut out our corners on all of them. So you're going to cut right along the crease line that you folded on all four corners, right up to the point of your chipboard. So you're cutting out a square, and you're going to do this on all pieces. And I'm just going to show you here on this one, and then I'll speed it up so that our video won't be extremely long, or hopefully not real long. I want to make sure I'm showing you each step, but where it's repetitive, I'll go ahead and speed it up. So each one will have the four corners cut out like that. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and I'll keep doing it and just speed up my video. Okay, so now we have this. Next, we're going to slightly miter. So to do that, you fold your cardstock over, and where it's sticking out here, you put your scissor in right up against that. We don't want to let a lot cut off. We don't want any holes. So you just cut off a slight angle. This opposite side, you're going to have to turn it to do that one. So like that. You got that one. You're going to do this on all four. So just pay attention that you do get them all four done. Okay, so are you ready for a bonus gift from me to those of you who comment and answer my question in the comments? So if I see that you answered the question, then I'll enter your name into the drawing. And again, this is for USA residents only. The prize is going to be this die cut or die set. Memory Dex die, which makes a little folder, and it has a little insert here, I believe. It's by KS Craft. It's called Lip the Flap, I guess. Anyway, paper cards. I did not use this. I bought two of these. I did not use this one in my project, but I may later on. And so I'm going to send this to one of you. If you answer this question, the question is, what is your favorite exclusive Country Craft Creations paper collection released this year? It must be an exclusive, the name of an exclusive paper collection that's only available at Country Craft Creations that has been released this year. Tammy started releasing her own paper collections this year, and there's so many wonderful ones, but I want to know, what is your favorite one so far this year? And so if you answer that question in the comments, you'll be in the running for this die, Memory Dex die. Okay, so let's get back to the tutorial. Okay, so first we're going to wrap the bottom piece. So this will be completely wrapped. And I'm just checking all my edges to make sure when I fold it up. So like this one needs a little bit more cut. So you don't want any sticking out. So just making sure that when it folds up, our corners look good. Okay? So to make it a little easier to wrap, I like to take, now this is optional, I take a little bit of 1/4 inch or whatever width you've got, score tape, and I put some in the middle on each flap here on the cardstock. You could use totally score tape if you wanted to. Where I live, sometimes score tape will come loose, and I want to make sure everything stays wrapped and put together as well as possible, so I don't strictly use score tape for construction. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the backing off of all of them. And remember, this is your bottom piece, and you do completely wrap this on the edges. Of course, you'll have the chipboard showing on one side, but we will cover that with pattern paper. So then I take my art glitter glue, and I put a line of glue right down the seam or the fold of the cardstock up against the chipboard. Put glue all the way around the score tape. I don't put it on it because it does make it loosen up. And then I burnish this down. And if there's any excess glue, we'll just wipe that up and grab a paper towel here. Should have already had that out. And I like to use the Viva paper towel. So I just burnish this down. And I do the opposite side. All the way around the score tape. And then bring it over and burnish that. And then I kind of run my bone folder along the fold of the edge. And now we're ready to do the other sides. Pull it over and burnish. And the last side. And burnish that, and then burnish the edges of these. So this is the bottom of our box. So the two longest ones are the sides, and then we have the ends. So I'm going to put it together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and wrap one edge on all of them. So same thing if you want to use score tape for just a little bit to help hold it down. So on just one edge, one flap of each section, I'm putting some score tape. Burnish the tape to make it easier to pull the backing off. And again, using tape like this is optional for you. So pull that off. And I'm going to put glue. And remember, we're only folding over, wrapping one edge. The other opposite side on the long sections must be left unattached for now, because that's what's going to put it together. So go ahead and burnish that. So it should look like this on each piece. You are wrapping over just the one flap on the longest side of each piece. Okay, so now we've got it wrapped. And this is going to go like this. Now we're going to wrap, I'm going to wrap the ends of the two longest pieces. So we don't need these as flaps. We're just going to wrap those. I'm looking at this one. It's kind of got a hole there. Too far in. Okay. It's got to be okay. These are short, so I'm not going to use the score tape. So again, put glue in that seam and then glue on your side flaps. And bring it over and burnish. The other side, whoops. Okay, so there's the two long sides. And now we have these, and these are attachment flaps, so we'll be doing that next. Okay, so next we're going to attach our bottom piece to our sides and ends. For me, I have found this is the easier way, is to attach these before assembling the outsides. So you have your base here. You want your flaps, you're going to attach them to the outside of your base. So you want your flaps laying out where they go. Take your glue, and I am going to first put a little bit of score tape again because I like how it helps me to hold it in place. So right in the center, put a bit of tape on each flap, and it doesn't have to be perfectly centered. You just want some on there. Go ahead and burnish that. Now you lay your base so that you have your longer. It's only a little bit longer. So this height one is your 6-inch. And your longer pieces that are wrapped on both ends go on this side. Okay. So just I'm going to do one side at a time. And take this off. Put some glue along the fold. Have to get my glue started again because it's been sitting for a while. Okay, so glue right along that fold, and then on the flap. So you're going to pick up your base, and we're going to set it down right into this right here. Flush right away, right up against the edge of this finished edge into the flap, all the way up against the chipboard. And we'll turn it over and we burnish it. Okay, turn it back. Let's put the other side on first, and then we'll do the two ends. So we get our glue. And we pick this up. And we're going to put this into the flap. Line it up really good. Each end. Put it in really tight. Burnish that. Turn it over. So you see it's kind of like putting an album cover together. Except now we're going to add these end pieces. So I'm going to do this one down here that's closest to me. Put this up so you can see. Same thing. Glue along the fold. And then we're going to turn this so we can get this so it attaches in just to the base. So you've got to look at it and make sure you're lining it up. You want this right here, these two corners matching up. So turn it over. Wipe off any glue that may have came out. And it's going to look funny because it's overlapping that. That's okay. You don't have it in the wrong place. You've lined it up correctly. Okay, then we bring it back over. One more side to put on, or end, rather. Take that tape off, backing off, glue in the fold, and on the flap. And then we bring this over here, and we will have our bottom of our box, just making sure I've got it lined up, attached. And everything is laying out. So run the edge of your bone folder through there. Let's get it to bend. I wanted it really secure. So just bend carefully. You have left a little bit of space there. Okay. Okay, so now we're ready to pull it together. And we're going to do this with these flaps. So again, I'm going to put score tape here on these on the inside, because these attach to the outside of the box. Just like this. So go ahead and peel all the backings off. Go one side at a time. Put my glue in. I have my clips handy. Pull this up. Bring this up. Make sure they line up. Fold that flap in, and I'm going to attach it right there with a clip. But that score tape helps it hold. And go ahead and do this side next. Bring this up, bring it in really tight, fold that, clip, and the fold is really tight on these. So let's bring this out, and we put glue on this flap right along that fold line. Okay, we line this up, bring up our flap, stand it up, make sure I can see it right here in this corner, and clip it. And then the last one. Fold it, make sure it's lining up too. Just make sure it's pulled in tight as you can, right there in that corner. Okay, and clip it. Now on the bottom where it folded, if you see with the Artisan any place where you might think it might start to crack a little bit because it's really tight, you can just lightly sand that. I see a little roughness on mine, but it's not much with the Artisan. It's a really strong cardstock. And of course, once it's bent, it starts taking its shape. So there's the box. I'm going to let this dry. It should be fine. And then I'm going to start working on patterning the outside and the bottom inside. To pattern my box, I took my cover sheet here of the collection and looked at the prints here that are available. So this is a box that I'm going to be using year-round with the calendars in it. So I didn't want anything like the stars, unless that's just something you like, or the Christmas stripe. So I zoned in because I like pink. The pink one here in May. So I need one sheet of that, and I use the one that is the prints on the front and back side. So this side here has the maypole. So I have that one. And I did need one extra to wrap my inside pieces. So I took one sheet of January because I like this print. So that's the one that had the girl and the snowflakes. So that's going to be wrapping. Now one sheet's not quite enough, so you have to piece one of them, and I'll show you how to do that. So we don't want to cut into more paper than we absolutely have to, because we want it for the cards, and we want to be able to use it on other projects. So that's how I decided what I wanted to use. Okay, so for my box, I'm going to dry fit the inside one here. I am using this one here. So I cut two, one for the outside, one for inside of these that are 5 1/8 wide by 5 7/8 tall. And I'm just using glue to get these in. So I'm putting patterned paper just on the inside, just on the bottom section. These side ones will be done with the wrapped chipboard pieces. So I just fit this in and then burnish that in. See if I can find my short bone folder. I don't see it here, so I'm going to use this one. So you just reach in there and you burnish. And if there's any glue oozing out, I just wipe it out with my bone folder. So I got that one in. Then I turn it over and put the same size here on the bottom. Just like that. You could use solid cardstock if you wanted to. I like the print on the bottom, though you don't see it. I just feel like it's finished that way. So we'll get the glue on there. Lay this down. Center it the best you can and smooth it out and burnish. My paper towel here and wipe that excess glue off. Now I'm just going to keep on. I'm going to do the outside. Remember, we're not doing the inside yet. So go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the camera, and I'll put these on. Make sure you're getting the shorter ones where they belong and the long ones, so don't get them mixed up. Okay, so there's the box patterned, and next we will be doing our wrapping our chipboard pieces, our support pieces that will also hold our straws for our memory dex cards. So now we've got the box patterned on the outside and just the bottom on the inside. We're ready to wrap these pieces that we cut. Now, originally, I think I said you needed two that were 2 3/4 by 5 7/8. That's incorrect. I'll have it corrected on the cutting list. You need two that are 2 3/4 by 5 1/8 to fit into the box along with these chipboard pieces. You do need two that are 2 3/4 by 6. I picked out this January pattern paper for these, and you need two that are, I'm double checking, you need two that are 3 3/4 tall by 7 inches, and you need two that are 3 3/4 tall by 6 7/8. Now with one sheet, I only using one sheet of this patterned paper. So this one here, I didn't have enough, so I'm piecing these two together. These were left over from cutting the others, and I'm going to line these up and then cut them down to the length that I need. So I'm just going to grab my glue and put a line of glue right here on the edge. Once I get it in, I don't think it's going to make much difference. I'm going to line this up because you won't see that much. We're going to wrap it. So, but make sure you let it dry and really burnish that so that, see how the print just kind of blends in there. You don't really see it that much. So burnish it on both sides. And this needed to be 6 7/8. So I'm going to trim this down. Okay. Now we have two pieces this size. So let me move my box out of the way, and we're going to wrap. I'm going to set this one aside for now and let that dry a little bit. So let's grab one of these bigger ones. Now I made this so it has about a 1/2 inch border, so I'm not using the guides. And I'm going to put glue on. This is one of the 2 3/4 by 6 inch pieces, and I want to completely wrap it just like you do for an album cover. Let me get my glue going better. Hold on just a second here. out. There we go. Sometimes it just gets thick in there and clogs up. So get enough glue out, and then we're going to glue this here in the center, so you have about a 1/2 inch, top, bottom, and the sides. Go ahead and burnish that. Turn it over. And grab the other one. Same thing, make sure you center it so it's about a 1/2 inch all the way around, all 4 sides. And then let's grab these. So this is the one that I spliced together. And this is your chipboard piece. You have 2 of these that are 2 3/4 by 5 1/8. So put glue on just one side. And again, these should have, this one has a little bit more, about a 1/2 inch all the way around. This one has 1 inch on each end. This side and then this one. Okay. So get the glue on it. And then we're going to do these exactly the same way that we did the box sides and ends, except these will be wrapped all the way around. So you get this on here, burnish it down, let them dry for just a few minutes. Take one of these, and then we're going to start folding this up. And this paper from Country Craft Creations folds beautifully and wraps really nice. It's a very nice thick paper. So go ahead and get your crease lines there. If you like that. I'm going to show you on one, and then you can do the others. So we're going to cut the corners out. Actually, there could be rectangles, but anyway, you cut where your score line is up to the corner of the chipboard, just like that. All 4 of them. And then you're going to miter. Fold this in. So this is a little thicker because it's the one that I pieced together. But I'm just going to cut there. Just a slight miter. You might have a little bit sticking out. And of course, do the short ones the same way. Okay, and then we're going to glue that down. So if you want to take a little bit of score tape to help hold it, that's fine. Burnish the tape backing. I'm going to do the long side first. Pull those tapes off, the backings. Take your glue. See if I can open this up a little bit better. Glue along the seam line or the fold, and then on the rest of it, of the flap. Fold it over and burnish. And with this paper, it does take a little bit more burnishing to make sure it sticks really good. But once it's stuck, it's really nice looking edge there. So I'm going to do the other side. A lot of glue came out that time, so I know I'm going to have to wipe that up. Okay. And then the other side of the ends. I'm just going to fold it down to make sure I don't need to trim a little more, and they look good. And what these are support pieces on the inside of the box. You really don't need it on the sides, but I'm doing it anyway to make it match. But the two end ones is what the straws will be put into to create our memory decks box. And so this makes it nice and wrapped on the edges. And you don't need to do anything to the back side though, because that's going to be glued into the box. So there's these. This one, you're going to do all, this is the one that was spliced. And as you can see, you really can't hardly tell it. And when it's in the box, you're not going to be able to. So we'll go ahead and do these other three the exact same way. I'm going to speed up the video and we'll get that done. So I have all four pieces wrapped, and let's bring the box in. Now we're not going to glue them in just yet. I just want to kind of pop them in and see how they look and fit. And these, see here, the longer one fits in here, and then we have the two shorter ones down here at the bottom. Now I've got one that's a little longer. Let me check it and see what happened. Yeah, it's a tad longer, just 1/8 of an inch. That's weird, but it'll be okay when I glue it in, I think. That might have to trim one of them down a little bit because we've got to be able to put these end ones in. So let me take this one out. This is the one that's too long. This is why I want you to dry fit it to see. So see, when you put this short one in, and let's double check here. This one here slides right in there. So the short ones go in behind the 6-inch one. This one was just a little bit longer. I am going to have to trim off some of this on the end. I cut mine about, it looks like I did it, it says 6. It's this one. Yeah, see, this one is 5 7/8. on the chipboard piece. So one of these, what are these? Oh, that's correct. 5 1/8 here. These are right. 5 1/8. 6. So 5 7/8. I'm going to change on your cutting guide to make the two longest ones 5 7/8. So I'll change it on the cutting guide, and I'm going to trim mine down to make them the right size. So I've dry fit these in and got them fixed to the right size. So they do end up being the chipboard pieces. Two that are 2 3/4 by 5 1/8, and two that are 2 3/4 by 5 7/8. The 7/8 go on this long side, and these go in after we do the end ones, and we need to do the end ones for the straws before we glue anything in. So these are the two end ones here, and this is the one I trimmed off. And as you can see, once it goes in the box, it is not really going to show. Okay. So I thought by wrapping it, it got it to the right size. So now we need our straws. I've already cut one, and you need two. They're too long. This is the way they come. So you need two that you put a little measure at 5 7/8. Even if it's a little bit longer, that's probably okay, but I'm going to do 5 7/8 right there. I'm just going to take my scissors and cut on that line and then reshape it. Okay. Now my crocodile punch is really too small for the straws, so I have this other We Are Memory Keepers punch, which gives me a bigger punch. But I want these to be a little thicker, so I'm going to take my glue. This is a scrap of paper that I had that matches the outside. So I'm going to put glue on it, and I'm going to glue it. Hopefully this will punch through. I'm going to glue it to this scrap of artisan cardstock. So we need 4, and I want 4 with this 3/4 inch punch. That's the one I'm worried about, whether it will punch through. So I'm just going to punch 1, scoop over quite a bit, 2, 3, and 4. Now this, if it won't go through, I'll have to do it different. There it goes. So that gives me a double thickness of a placement thing for my straws. And I'm centering the hole punch right in the center of the circle. There we go. I think I may end up having to buy me a new circle punch in this size. It's getting a little raggedy, but it's going to work for this project just fine. So center it and punch. Got it. Okay, so there's our circles for our straws. So the straw will fit right into the circle, right up to the edge of it, kind of flat. And we put one on each end. And then I'm going to have to measure my cards. And I have some I've already punched out. Now I'll be showing you how to make cards later here in the tutorial. But I have some short ones that I've made. And I did use my punch. I will show you in the tutorial what to do if you don't have the Heidi Swap punch for these. So this is how these are going to fit on. And that's the space for the straws. Okay, so I have to put these, mark them on the board so that they line up right. So I'm going to use this as a template. So here's the straws and the little attachment pieces that we made with our circle punch. This is a 3/4 inch punch, and then a larger hole punch It's bigger than the crocodile, as I said. Anyway, this is one of my cards. This is what I'm going to be using, the holes from my Heidi Swap Memory Dex punch. So yours will vary. The spacing should be the same, 3/4 of an inch here. Now this is it at the very bottom of the wall piece, and I want this to be up a little higher. I don't want my cards sitting right on the bottom or rubbing on the bottom through the straw, and I need to center this. Okay, and so I need to mark, because we're going to be gluing these pieces here in the straw. So I'm going to put a mark here in the center, like 2 eyeballs there. And make sure you're doing this on your shortest pieces that are going to go on the inside ends, okay? So I'm going to line this up again. I'm going to flip this around so I can kind of see it like this. And again, I put it about, looks like about 1/4 inch from the top. I'm just going to check it here. Yes, 1/4 inch. Line it up side to side and put my mark right in the center. Okay, now then, these are the ones that we added a little extra to. And I am going to trying to think what's the easiest. These go towards the bottom. So we got the ends here. We're going to glue these in. So I'm going to put glue on the unfinished side. And I'm going to slide this into the shortest end of the box, all the way down to the bottom so it's flush. You're going to have a little lip here, the black showing, and that's what we want. So go ahead and burnish that in really well. And then we're going to put the other side the same way. Make sure my marks are down to the bottom, okay? Glue on the back. Marks go down towards the bottom of the box. Push it all the way in. It should fit side to side, and push it all the way down flush. And it should be looking like that in there. Okay, now we can go ahead and put the other sides in now. And they're going to go fit on top of these side pieces. So we put the glue on the unfinished side. And again, these are going to go down in flush all the way to the bottom. Make sure you press them into the wall. Clean up any glue that might ooze out of the top here. And so these should fit right in there like that. We'll do the other side as well. Try to keep my glue a little less from the edge. And then this fits down in here. Pushes it in. It gives the box a lot of strength this way. Make sure it's in there, and I'm going to burnish these. Don't think they're going to go anywhere. But we want to get them burnished. Make sure they're pressed down in the corners. Okay, so there's that. Now we're ready to fit our straws in. And I'm hoping I don't have them too short. I think I might. See. Okay, so I've put my circles on here all the way to the end of the straw. And I'm pushing it as close to the edge so they're kind of flush. Okay, you don't want a bunch sticking out. So just as close to the edge as you can with them still being on to the straw. Okay, does that make sense? So you just really have to kind of balance it on there. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to put glue right around the edge of the straw and on the back side of my circles. Okay, this is trial and error. Here we go. So I'm going to get it down into my box. And these circles go almost to the end. I'm getting it in position here where I've marked it. So I really can't show you much, and I'm going to press in on my circle. On both sides. I'm just looking at it to make sure I have it all straight. Okay. So really want to press it in there. So we used a lot of glue. So there's one in there. And I'm going to see, we're working with glue. That one needs to be moved over just a little bit. I'm checking my card. So before the glue sets, let's go ahead and, whoops, scoot it over just a tad. And this glue does set up pretty fast, so you've got to work quickly with it and get that straw glued in there. I'm going to double check again. I was too close to the edge for my card. So I need it moved over just a little bit. Don't put it in there too much. Still not quite in there right. Now, like I said, for me, this is trial and error, so you may have to play with yours before you actually put your glue on it. Okay, that's better. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to make sure, and I did put an ugly mark here on my paper, but I think I can clean that up. Okay. So those two marks I had didn't quite cut it. So my box, as it out further, is working. Okay. So now then, I'm going to use this to feed that through there, I think. Tell me where to put it. Even though I had my mark in there, need to get some glue on it. Glue on the straw. The other side too. Oops, wrong direction. Make sure your pattern is going to the towards the inside of your straw. Okay. Then let's see here. I think that what I did while ago is I didn't get it right on that mark that I needed. Now before I actually press it in, I just make sure they're fitting. Okay, that's right. So I need to press my circles down. Got my card fitting in there. So I've got mine glued in right there and right there. They're pretty even. I do have the black cardstock that with the glue stuck down, and I may cut something a bigger circle and hide that. Otherwise, it probably won't show that much. My cards are in pretty tight. They still move because you don't want them flopping around. I would make a suggestion that I did have to cut one straw just a tad longer than I initially thought. I would cut extra of these circles and build up a little thicker so that the straw has an area in there to sit in. I just didn't want to punch a hole through my chipboard. I thought this would be easier for us. So anyway, that's the box. So now we're ready to make some cards, Memorydex cards to go in it. Let's have another bonus prize giveaway. Again, this is just for those of you who comment and answer something I'm going to ask you in the comments of this video only. And it'll be a random winner chosen from those comments. And you must be USA resident only because I can't afford the shipping. But this is a really awesome prize. Now, if you follow my channel, you've probably seen a recent product share of something that I ordered from Creative Chaos by Sin on an Etsy shop. And so I am giving away from Cindy Brown, Creative Chaos by Sin. I'm giving away one project. This is one gift together because they match. So you're going to get both of these if your name is drawn. You're going to get this awesome, you can see through project tote where you can put your 12 by 12 papers in and what you're working on and keep them nice and clean and organized. And then to match that, you also get this little pouch tote thing to store tools or different things, or you could even use it as a little trash bag if you wanted to. These are done, custom made by Cindy. And this one is really cute. It is, this fabric says Clever Witch, Flirty Witch, and it's just adorable. This other witch is a Boss Witch. So these are all really cute. So you will get this in the comments if you live in the USA and you tell me your favorite crafting project, which might be cards, layouts, off the page, 3D projects, mini albums, etc. So tell me what your favorite crafting project is, and I'll go through the comments and see which one of you answered that or told me that, and then I'll put you in a random drawing for this prize, USA residents only. Okay, back to the tutorial. To make the calendar Memorydex dividers for your Memorydex box, you will need to take 4 sheets. This is one I've already finished. I'm going to show you real quick. You take 4 sheets of the 12 by 12 artisan cardstock and you make your first cut at 7 inches because these are going to be 7 inches by 5. Turn this, cut 2 at 5 inches. So you're going to do this on 4 pieces of the artisan cardstock so that you will end up with 12 dividers, 1 for each month. So this one here is already 5 inches wide, so you just need to cut it at 7. And that's going to leave you 4 good squares here that we will use on something else. So we have 12 of these. Then you want your corner rounder. And we're going to use the 1/4 inch on just one end on all of them. So I just want a 1/4 inch rounded on all of the 12, just on the top edge. So I've already got the other ones done. And then I'm going to show you adding the calendar. Next, you're going to cut out one of the calendars for each month. So this one's February. And I'm using my whiskers so that I can line it up at the top here and look at my cut line here. And I'm just cutting it right there to the edge of this so that I'm not cutting into anything else right now. So I'll turn this around and line up the bottom, this side here. And I'm lining up my cut, the wire of my cutter, and cutting here. Now I have this piece cut out. I'll save this for later. Go ahead and trim off the white part. So this ends up being about 4 3/4 wide. By 6 3/4 tall. Okay, so this, you will do this for each month, and then we're going to take, let me move my cutter out, because I'm not going to show you each month because they're all going to be the same. Then you take your, one of your cardstock pieces. Also make sure that you round the 1/4 inch on the top, just the top of your calendar, like that. See here, this one, let's trim just a tiny bit more on the top here. Just the tiniest bit, because a little bit of black was showing. And I didn't want that. I want it to be completely cut away. So make sure I've got my 1/4 inch and recut that. Now this is going to glue right on top of your Memory Dex divider. So I'm going to grab my glue. And again, you're going to do the same thing for every month. So you will end up having one divider with a calendar on it for each month. So just line this up, center it from top to bottom. It's going to be, make your margin at the top because you're going to have a little more down here at the bottom. It's going to be a little wider. Burnish that down. Love these images here. Then we're going to make our holes for our Memory Dex. Now I have the Heidi Swap punch, so that's what I use on mine. If you don't have the punch, you can make a template. I will show you this on another piece in a little bit on what you can do if you don't have the punch. If you have the punch, that's great. So what I'm going to do is this bottom piece goes in, and I'm going to line it up so that there's about 2 notches on each side. So that kind of centers it up, and I just punch. That's great if you have this punch, but don't despair, you can still create this. Okay, so there I have for my Memory Dex. So I have January and February done. I'm going to make the others off camera. I'm not finishing this side yet because I haven't decided what I want to do back there, but these will be our dividers, which will be our calendars in our Memory Dex box. So let me gather my stuff together, some scrap stuff, and I will show you how to make if you don't have the punch. I'm not going to have the calendar on there, don't want to waste that, but I'm going to show you how to make your holes for your cards without having the punch. Okay, in this segment, I'm going to show you real quick what to do if you do not have the Memory Dex punch. This is a Heidi Swap one. I don't know if there's any off-market ones out there or not. You can Google and check and see, but if you don't have the punch, don't worry, you can still make this project. So this is the one done with the punch, and this is 5 inches wide. Now you can make different widths of cards if you want to, but basically I'm just going to show you on a 5 inch what to do. Of course, this is shorter, because you can make different heights of cards for your box. So when it's punched, the space between here is 3/4 of an inch, but I'm going to mark it at 1 inch on this. So this is 5 inch. So we want to mark this at 2 and 3 because you want a 1 inch right in the center, however wide your cardstock is going to be for your card. I'm using a white pen so you can see it. Now, this one measures 3/8 of an inch from the top of the hole, but I've tried to do that and it comes out too tall. So I'm just going to put this a little bit over 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to mark at 2 and at 3. Okay, so you see the white dots there. Let me hold it up for just a second. So I marked it so that I have a 1 inch space here for these dots. Then I'm going to take my crocodile punch, and I have set it at just a hair from the 1/2 inch. So I'm going to put this over each dot and make a punch. So I centered the dot. So now we have that. Now you can't slip this over your straws that are in your Memorex box. So you're going to have to cut this out. Now you can just make a slit right in the center of the hole from the bottom edge. And then I'm just going to cut on each side of that to kind of make a little angle cut like that. Okay. Now if you hold this over this, you'll see that, I'm going to put it behind. You'll see that it's about the right height, but it's not quite as wide as this one. So you can kind of square up your hole just a little bit. I'm cutting on the side, just a little. And you can play with this to make your hole fit your Memorex box. So now I'm cutting again on the side. So what we've got is a slot here that we've cut that will work with our straws that are in our Memorex box. And you would want to do this after you've added your pattern paper, and then of course you can go ahead and round the top of your corners, and this would make you a short Memorex card. You can also use different dies and things to make the top of your card, which I probably will be doing, but that is how you make a Memorex card that will slip over the straws in your Memorex box if you do not have the Memorex punch. After making the 12 calendar tall divider cards, I decided I wanted these little smaller ones. I'd already made a few. So if you want these are 5 by 5, and I just rounded the corners on the top of these, and I'll be adding decorating and stuff. So if you want one to go with each month, you would need 12, cut 12 5 by 5. And I made these out of scraps. I think I got 4 out of scraps, and then I needed 2 more sheets of paper to do these. So anyway, I got a total of 12. So you need 2 or 3 extra sheets of the black artisan cardstock. And like I said, I'm using my Heidi Swap punch, and the 5-inch fits just at the second mark on each side, and I just punch down. And I'm going to do that on all of them. And so this is how one way you can make extra cards. They'd be great for maybe putting some kind of notes, but I'm going to be using the Remember the Time Country Craft Creations paper to decorate these different ways. And I also have some dies, some Memorex dies that I may be using, and if I do, I will show you those. But pretty much this is what you need to do to make a Memorex box, a calendar one, out of this paper collection, and make the dividers like I showed you. Now once I get these punched, I'm going to take my 1/4 inch corner rounder and just round the opposite corners. Now you could round all 4 corners if you wanted to make it rounder in the bottom of the box. That's just an option, whatever you want to do, but I'm rounding the tops like I did the calendar cards of all these extras that I'm making for now. So my decorating will be off camera. I will certainly show you all of that, what I've done. It's just a personal choice on how you want to decorate on camera. So here are all of these. So I have them already in up to, April has one, May does not. So I put one between each month, and then I'll come back in. So the way these are laying in here right now is because it's not full. And as this box gets fuller and has thicker embellishments like flowers, of course I'll be adding flowers and all different kind of bits and pieces of things, maybe some metal things that I find in my stash. It's a great way to use up some of your stash stuff that maybe you've been hanging on to, buttons and lace and bits and bobs and stuff like that. So go ahead and plan on making extra cards. and using up some of your stash for decorating. And for now, this is where I'm at, and I'll be starting some decorating. And like I said, I will share the finished project at the end. And then, of course, I will pop in. Oh, and I forgot to share that where I messed up down in here, if you can see right down in here where I had to move my straws over, the circles, the pink ones, the smaller ones that I had, I did punch. I didn't have any more pink paper. I had more of the blue, so I used my 1-inch circle punch and the hole punch, and then I cut a slot and I glued these around in the base around each straw to hide those glue things, so you can't see them now. So that worked out great. So anyway, I'm going to stop the video for now, and I'll do some decorating and be back later to share what I've done. So I have finished 11 of my calendar dividers, which I will show you later, all the different things that I've done. I'm up to December, so I thought that I would quickly show you how I make all of them. I go through the paper collection and cut out the different elements that I want to use on this side. As you can see here on January, I glue them in different places. Now I'm making a decorative piece here with magnets, so it can be removed and you can get to your calendar if you want to utilize the calendar. So first thing I do is I start here on the top, and I have cut out this Merry Christmas tag, and I'm just going to put glue in the center of the bottom like that, and I'm just going to attach it at an angle right on this corner. Okay, and then on this corner I have 2 of the tickets from the paper. One says Holiday Ball and one says Tickets, and they're in those colors. So I'm just going to put a little glue on the bottom edge here. I'm going to stick the Holiday Ball one down, and then the ticket one on top, kind of overlapping them like this. Okay, and then I cut out of a circle, one of the circle cut aparts or ephemera pieces, and I'm just going to glue that down right here on top, kind of like that. Now if I got some glue, I pick it up and make sure that I wipe it off here at the back, any glue that might be hanging on. So for that, so far, and then I have this really pretty kind of a crystal clear looking snowflake. I'm going to add some sparkle, so I'm going to put some glue on the back of it, and I'm just going to attach it down onto this top of this tag. So I did go through my stash and pulled out different brads, and I used a lot of seed beads, some frills, the little smaller ones. I've got black, white, here's the black one. I also used some gold Nouveau embellishment mousse. Just different things in my stash that I have. Now this is a wooden snowflake. I've already glued this really pretty button on. I think it's glued down. I just loved it with the little rhinestones. It's kind of clear. So this was a ornament, so I pulled the hanger off, and so that's going to go right in there in the center. So I'm going to put glue on the back of this. Good amount of glue. And then this is just going to sit right here in the center to really decorate this all up. Put that snowflake back. Got to let those dry. Okay, so I'm going to slide this out of the way while those are drying and assemble this piece, this decorative piece. I didn't want the full size of this 3x4, so I cut it in half, and I am going to reattach it together. So I'm putting some glue right here along this edge. So you can alter things, you can trim things down some more to make it fit in the area you want it in. So I'm just lining it all up. And then because it's got a seam there, out of the cut parts of the paper, I've cut this piece here. So the glue for it's going to go about where the seam is, just all the way across. So this is going to be freestanding. I'm just going to center this, kind of eyeball it, right there over that seam. Okay. Then I cut the prongs off of two red brads because I wanted red and I didn't have any flat enamel dots that I thought would work. So I'm just gluing one on the end of this extension piece here. There we go. Press it down in there so if there's any prongs left before you cut, it kind of attaches, you know, flattens out. So put these on and then line them up. Make sure, whoops, put more glue there, and make sure that I've got them about centered the same from side to side. Like this. Okay, so there's that one. Then I had this little pearls with snowflakes. I thought this was really pretty. I'm just going to glue on each snowflake on the end. And I'm going to attach it about right up here. And then I'm going to let this other one, hopefully let this grab a little bit. And I'm going to put the other one on this other end. And we'll see how much loop we have. Okay, so this is something we just have to let dry. Keep pressing it down to let it dry. Okay, we're going to set that aside and let it dry. These other elements, this is for the back. I have my two magnets here. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch punch. Grab that. 1/4 inch punch on one end. This will attach to the back because the magnets, one will go on the back of this piece and one will go on the back because we've already got my calendar down, so I don't want a magnet there. And this is to cover one of the magnets back there. So this is all got to dry now. So I'm going to pause the camera, and then once everything's dry, then I'll put it all together. Okay, so I think everything's dry enough now. So we're going to flip this one over, and I have two little magnets. I'm just going to glue one here, kind of in the center. And then right over that, I have punched out of the paper the circles, this circle to go over it, to hide the magnet and secure it in place. I'm putting glue over all that. So that just glues down right over that. Kind of press that down. Make sure it's sealed up in there. Okay, so now turn it over and then we place this where we want it. And I'm going to hold it in place. And I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to let the magnet find itself. And then I'll gently lay it down. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue under with that magnet, or on the magnet, and let it find itself again. Okay, pick that up and make sure everything's still where I wanted it. There we go. Now we need to cover the back side, so carefully turn this over. I've already rounded the top two corners. I'm going to put glue on this sheet here. Okay, so I'm going to spread this out some with my fingers. Wipe that off. Now then, line this up. Now I cut mine so it's only 1/16 of an inch off, so it's almost right on the edge here of my paper. And I'm just going to burnish this down. I'm using a cloth because I've got dimension behind it. And where that magnet is, you want to make sure you wrap around that. Okay, so now that we have this on, we need to repunch for our holes, or recut them if you're doing it manually. Again, mine, I'm using this Heidi Swap Memory Dex punch. I line up my edges on the second notch from the left and the right and just punch. And there's my Memory Dex card divider decorated. This piece can be removed because it has a magnet on it. And all of these will go into the box just like this. So it's getting really full. There we go. I've got all 12 in there. I'm going to work on a few of these in-between ones to show you what I will be doing with mine later on. And there's the box, and also I'm going to finish doing some things to the box, and I'll show you that later. So I've taken my box and finished it by adding this metal piece here. Now I did add some silver Nouveau embellishment mousse onto it because it was more gold and brass coloring. I wanted some silver in it to go with my legs. For my legs, I used these Tim Holtz doorknob pulls, but I punched a hole through the bottom of my box on each four corner, and then I put them in with screws so that they will stay on. So now it sits up on legs, and it has a silver brad here on the front that's still drying. So right here on the front, we have a silver brad and the filigree metals. You can get a set of these from Country Craft Creations. So check for those online. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm working on. I'm going to do January on camera, and then I will do the rest off camera. So I have these extra pieces. I have 12, one for each month. These are 5 by 5. Of course, I punched or cut the holes for the memory decks. So this one I've already attached, so it's just under 5 by 5, and I glued it and rounded the corners and glued it on and punched the memory decks holes. So I'm going to go through some of them. I didn't use this on the divider. Some of them I did. So I've got certain ones, like I'm going to glue this here. I have a snowflake from my stash that I've tied some black button string, jute string on. So I'm just going to glue these on here to make a place for notes like birth dates or whatever you want to do on your calendar memory decks. So you will just create one out of some of your papers that you have left, and you'll create one for each month. So I'm not going to do these on camera. I'm just going to quickly get them all done and get them in my box. So this, I'm just putting glue on the back right side, and I'm just going to attach it right up here like that. Double check the back, make sure I don't have any glue coming up. And the back side for now, I'm going to leave mine plain. So like if you wanted to put a photo and flip it around, you could do that. So this I'm going to put about right here, so it's not all of the snowflake, but part of it here. It's going to touch down. Make sure I have enough that it will hold. So I'm going to put this right here. And of course, this glue dries clear. I use art glitter glue for all my embellishments, metals, flowers, ribbon. I use it for everything, and it dries clear. I do kind of blot up some of the excess if I can. And I'm going to let that dry. So that's just going to kind of hang there. And then I have this fascination that I think I'm going to put down here at the bottom. And I'm going to leave it open at the top in case I wanted to tuck a note or something in there. So I'm just going to make it a tuck spot by putting glue on the bottom of it like that. And that is for January's extra memory decks card that goes in. So I'll be doing all the others for each month. So that is the tutorial for this hop. And thank you so much for joining us for this hop. I hope that you've had a lot of fun. Make sure you check out Country Craft Creations, the sponsor of our prizes for this hop. Leave a comment below. This is for USA people only. We can't ship to out of the country right now because of the cost of shipping and everything. So I apologize for that. But the prizes given by Country Craft Creations are in the description below, as well as how you can earn an entry for those of you in the USA. So thanks again, and make sure you visit all the videos in this hop with the other Country Craft Creation designers and Tamara, the owner of Country Craft Creations. Thanks again. Bye-bye.